Hey, what's up, everyone? So today, gonna talk about our first raid boss, Binah. The hard thing with this is most of us plebs will need to use two teams for this. So you will need to kind of tailor your teams to your account for sure, but I'll try to give multiple ideas on what to do and also show what I'm doing personally. So kind of just to get the generic stuff out of the way, what everyone's already probably saying, what you can find on wikis, whatnot. The three best units for this raid, if you have them, will be Akane. So Akane is going to be good, because this skill gives minus defense. Yori will be good, because Yori does a lot of damage, basically all. I want it to try to get this to level 3, the CX skill, ideally, but yeah, so I would say level this as much as possible, and then her basic is actually really good too, if you can level that as much as possible. And then the last unit who's gonna be super good, probably the best unit for this raid, is Maki. And Maki is good because she does a lot of single target damage, but she also has this basic skill that will decrease defense as well. So if you have Maki and Akane and Yori on the same team, kind of the basic idea is you have the Akane use her EX skill, decrease defense, and then you have, well, I guess you wait for the Maki to decrease defense, and then you spam your Yori ultimate. That's kind of like the basic rotation if you had those three units, and you'll probably get, like top scores would have those three units. In terms of the fourth unit, you would probably put in a team like that, and other good units in general. Nonomi is not bad. Her EX skill is completely useless here. I think you lose out on DPS using this, actually. But her other skills are pretty good for just single target enemies. Like this one, she does more to large size enemy. She has a self buff, which is nice, so she's pretty good, actually. Okay, and then the specials, the two best specials are going to be Hibiki and Karen. Hibiki, just because she gives crit rate is why she's good, and even her EX skill, like it still does a good amount of damage, but probably in most teams you're not going to even be using her EX skill. It would depend on the team, but you would just have her in just for crit rate, honestly. And then Karen is also going to be really good here because she does a lot of damage. But unlike Hibiki, you're going to need to use her EX skill to get value out of her. Alright, now I wanted to talk about other units I think were good, especially for majority of the player base who either doesn't have all these students or that we need two teams to clear this boss, so you'll need to use more students than maybe like the top tier for this certain raid boss or whatever. So I think one unit who's good is Binah. She's pretty good even at just 1 star, but if you can get the 3 star and get this ability, it's going to increase her attack speed for standing still every 10 seconds. So that's really super good. So she becomes amazing at 3 stars, but she's still usable at 1 star if you just need to slot her in. And then another units are going to be any tanking units. I think Suguri's okay, because she can both tank as well as do pretty decent damage, and her EX skill's low cost, so you can cycle through. So if you need a tank on a team, but you don't need like a tank, she's kind of like a good midway between tank and DPS. So I personally use her on one of my teams and found it to be better than like using a Hoshino. And then any tank will be good if you need them. They'll do their job. Hoshino would be the best since she does yellow damage. And then Kotari's also not bad if you're struggling with the big sand attack. I was using Kotari to clear when I was under-leveled for very hard, but now that my students have more levels and I'm able to tank the attack, I don't use her anymore. But if you're not able to tank the attack, Kotari's shields are amazing. So the first special I think is really good if you need a group heal would be Ayane. Now, Ayane's really nice because she does a pretty good group heal, which is good for all the AoE attacks. And you don't lose out on any DPS time because your students don't have to reposition to get the heal like they would for Fuka or Serena. She's actually really good for the last phase, because I found on the last phase, the students all just clump up in a big 4-ball formation. So even if you use Fuka, it's just so hard to dodge every attack. And I think just eating those attacks to the face and then healing up with a Yane, and ideally, you're able to live the sand attack. I think that was the best way for me to beat this. And then Utah is also okay. Utah can be used just to enhance DPS, or she can be used to have her turret tank the boss. So maybe you can have a team with a 4 DPS, and then a Utah, and then you place your Utah turret to act as your tank. And you just have to make sure you always have the turret up to tank it, is all. And obviously if you have Karen or Hibiki, do try to slot them on a team if you have them built at all. So we'll actually enter in with a ticket, and I'll just show my teams and talk about them. So these are my 2 teams. So what I really recommend, and probably the main tip I can give to at least try out, is you'll have one good team and one very scuffed together team. I recommend using the worst team first. So the first phase to second phase transition takes a lot of DPS time down because your students are like running between the phase. So that's why I think that the worst team should go first. Now this is my worst team. Basically all these units are kind of scuffed together, and then I have one unit to carry them, which is Binah. So I think the first team should be like a really crappy team of units you can just use, and then try to throw like at least one unit that can do big damage and focus on using their ability. And then my second team is more of my tryhard team. But it still is not like a maximum damage team. Like I'm using a Yane, for example, just to help with the sand attack heals. So I found structuring it this way of making my second team go second was way better, and it got me a much better score. Now, if you're able to like one team it, one phase it, ideally you would just go maximum DPS. So you would replace a Yane if you had them, Hibiki or Karen, and then you would replace Samir with probably another DPS unit, honestly. And that's only if you're like totally able to one phase this whole thing. Alright, so I'm gonna just clear this with this team, hopefully get a better rank, and talk about the boss mechanics as we do it. Overall, this boss is pretty simple mechanics. There is like one, I think it's like kind of a hidden one. I don't think they like explain it, but it does have a stun gauge. So here I'll just lead with this girl. So you'll see this meter here builds up. Basically, whenever you deal piercing yellow damage to it, it's going to build up this meter here. And once it's full, the boss will get stunned for a bit. Ideally, you're able to stun it in the first phase here, but I probably won't be able to with this team. We'll try, though. So all I'm going to do is just focus my Binah. And then Binah's buff is about to disappear, so this is kind of how you build your teams in this game, is you're often just cycling between 3 abilities, maybe 4. You rarely have like teams where you're just going to be using every ability. You're usually kind of just rotating between a couple. So try, when you're like doing team building, try to find a good like a rotation of abilities. So once he gets to about 14 number here, at least on very hard, so it's about 60%, he's going to transition to the second phase. But here's the part where it transitions, and this is why I don't recommend using the high DPS team first, because this takes up a lot of time. Whereas the other transition from second phase to third phase doesn't really take up time. Forgot to use abilities, shit. So I'm going to put the turret in the middle just so he like targets the middle. And this is one way in which Utah is really good. So it looks like it is stunned, so we'll just spam that girl's ability. And now we're out of time. I probably could have used Junko there since I was running out of time anyways, but whatever. So as you see, Binah absolutely carrying. So now I'm going to put in my good team. And with this team, the strategy is just spam Akane, followed by Yori, ideally with the Kotama buff, and then just heal as needed. And maybe play Samir once in a while. Hopefully Yori goes there this time. Looks like she didn't. It's a bit tilting. Alright, we'll burn the heal. I think what I need to do is actually probably just burn another heal. It's a bit weird. I'm gonna try to burst it again. Okay, we'll see if she lives here. Looks like she does. Alright, let's use her, and Yori should be able to clear this up. There we go. So now it goes to the third phase, and as you see, this transition's like instant, which is nice. So the third phase is where Ayane becomes really good for me, because they all group up here, and I kind of just face tank it, honestly, is what I do with this team, is I just like tank everything and then use Ayane. Now he's going to do a sand attack as the meter's full, but we're able just to tank it fine. And I don't even have like the HP gear that maxed. So we're good to go. Looks like it's stun. So he's probably going to get one more sand attack, unfortunately. So I will need to use a heal. Alright, let's get the Samir. And now we're just going to play this, followed by Yori. Alright, and there we go. Okay, so is that my best score yet? Alright, there we go. So we moved up 29 points there. So a bit better. And if I get the Yori to skill level 3, I think I would move up a lot more, because skill level 3 would be a big power spike. Alright, that's all I have to share with my team clearing Binah. Alright, so that's everything I got with my team clearing Binah. Feel free to post a comment on the teams and units you use, or any other suggestions you had. I think for me, the main one was just using my better team second helped me quite a bit. Alright, I'll catch you all in the next, and peace.